It's here. What do you do your senior year of high school?
This is the Recruit Me Athletic Scholarship Podcast, episode number 210. Welcome to the world's longest running podcast on recruiting and athletic scholarships. I'm John Fugler, founder of Recruit Me, along with the new Recruit Me CEO, Brent Hanks. As athletic scholarship coaches, we want to help you as a family succeed in the recruiting world and get a scholarship for your student athlete. We're each dads of D1 athletes ourselves, and we have a wealth of experience to share. This weekly 15-minute podcast will change your scholarship future. You can find every episode on your favorite podcast app or on our website at recruitme.com. Make sure you get the free Recruiting Power Pack. It'll equip you, and one of the features in there is a template for your player profile or resume. You can get that at recruitme.com. And make sure you check out Recruit Me 3.0 at recruitme.com/system. Well, here we are. We have made it to senior year. Brent, we got it. We're done, right?
I hope we're getting people to a fun part in their senior year.
Yeah, we've covered the student athletes as freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and here we are, senior year. Great progression, 4-part series. Listen to any of the 3 previous parts because it'll prep you for senior year. As we are listening to this, as our listeners have these in their earbuds, you're done with baseball. Summer baseball season is over, huh?
Yeah, summer baseball will be over, and we're going to take a little break here, and then his organization does have some fall seasons.
Okay, that's good. Now we're talking about senior year. What do athletes and their families do in this very important last year of high school?
Well, senior year for a lot of student athletes, if you've gone this far, you've either committed or you haven't committed or made a decision on a school. So we're going to talk a little bit about both of those. Some of you may still be in the process of talking to coaches. Some may still be trying to get schools interested in them or contacting them. So, all of these are possible. If you haven't made a commitment, don't panic because we've still got some work to do.
Well, that is a good point when you say don't panic. You just never know when that decision point is, when the offer is going to be made. And if families have been going through this for a while, Brent, it can feel like a marathon. Don't lose heart in the senior year.
That's right. So your senior year, you may just need to get more exposure. You may need to step up your contacts a little bit. You may need to find new schools to talk to. We may have to say, hey, we've kind of worked those over and they don't seem interested. So let's go look for some other schools. And your senior year is very busy anyway. So hopefully what we've done and set up throughout the freshman, sophomore, and junior year is kind of getting you to a culmination here. But your senior year with classes and graduation and your sports and your proms and so forth can be very, very hectic. So like I said, getting organized early, I think will really help a lot of people out their senior year.
Sure. Yes, the student athletes have a life, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and a lot of fun things that you don't want to miss. So John, if the student athlete has made a decision, here's kind of a list of some things that they can kind of do if they've already made a decision. You might want to consider retaking the ACT or the SAT again. That might get some more scholarship money for you, but you don't have to do that. You need to go online, and there's a link down in the show notes that talks about how to finalize your amateur certification, and you need to do that after April 1st of your senior year. Your senior year, you might get to and probably will sign a national letter of intent. There are different dates for different sports for that, so go to NCAA.org and look up the National Letter of Intent information to get more information on that. And then one of the important things, if you've made a decision and made a commitment, is to keep your grades up and keep working out. And some coaches, if you've committed to them, they may send you actual workouts so you can be ready to kind of know some of their terminology and know what they're expecting out of you. continue applying for scholarships. So you can go to your counselor or maybe do some internet searches, and something that you might get from your local Rotary Club or a church or something like that. That's still good money. It still pays for some of the things that will happen in college.
Mm-hmm.
All families will need to sit down and do the FAFSA forms, FAFSA. Those are for government grants, and they're basically required before you go to college. And then if you've completed your process, John, students need to send notes to their teachers, their coaches, their counselors, and thanking them for the help that they've done for the past 4 years for them.
So Brent, you've gone through this once with Parker. Talk a little bit about the balance between what the parent does and what the student athlete does. There are a lot of tasks here. How do you divide it up, and how did you divide it up?
Pretty much any time a student athlete is talking to a coach, communicating with a coach or a school, that needs to be done by the student athlete. The parents can get involved with some of the secretarial type of stuff, like the FAFSA forms. That requires tax information, so the parents need to be ready to have tax information and be ready to probably sit down with the kid and do that. Applying for scholarships, some of them the students have to write papers, but parents need to stay on that because kids don't quite understand the money aspect of it, and they don't understand how a $500 scholarship here and a $200 scholarship there and $1,000 scholarship can help in the long run. So students or parents really have to stay involved with that because the kids are just excited to be graduating and going on to college.
And I hear, and we experienced, and maybe you too, that you act more like the secretary of this whole process for your son or daughter, huh?
Yes. Yeah. You want to be kind of the backseat driver.
Okay, good. Well, so you got a list of things there. And as you mentioned, we'll put a couple links in the show notes as well that you can grab and go to find out more information, especially about the amateurism certification that's due. Okay, good.
Yeah. Now, if you haven't made a decision, your junior or senior year, all these things that we've been talking about for the last 2 or 3 episodes, you can still get a scholarship and you can still get a position to play if you're not quite there. Now, if you have made a decision, don't relax because I've seen people lose their scholarship and lose their spots because they didn't take care of their academics or they didn't continue working on their sports skills, and they kind of went backwards. And when a coach got their academic information, they're like, "Oh, we can't do this." So just because you sign that letter of intent doesn't mean that you're done with school or done with athletics. So keep going on that stuff. And one note that I have is and I was lucky that Parker did this. He really worked hard after his commitment, and he probably got in the best shape of his life after he got his college offer, and he was able to really impress the coaches when he arrived in the summer and in the fall of his freshman college year.
One of the things I do remember when I went to school is I had this big gap in the summer getting ready to come and play fall ball baseball. And I was a pitcher, left-handed pitcher, and I just lined up and threw the ball against a brick wall. I drew out a strike zone, and I would bring my baseballs out there, and I would pitch a game to the brick wall, balls and strikes. I threw a no-hitter every time, but I walked a few batters. But that was it. I wanted to be ready. I wanted to be at my best when I showed up on that first day of fall practice.
Well, and you're getting ready to start another 4-year journey here as you get into college. So you're back to making a good first impression. So when you show up in the summer or you show up in the fall, whichever one your sport lends itself to, you want to make a good first impression, and making a good first impression might get you your foot in the door to get you maybe some playing time as a freshman if it works out.
Now, you mentioned a minute ago about athletes that are still in the process of making a decision. Somewhere during their senior year, they will make that decision, but it's not, they may go 2, 3, 4, 5 months before they do. maybe back up a little bit and give some specifics on what they can do leading up to that here in their senior year.
Well, and it's mainly staying in contact because if some schools have made offers to other student athletes, and then that student athlete maybe doesn't take the offer, maybe does something academically that's not right, and all of a sudden spots open up, and you might be Johnny on the spot, basically, if you stay in contact with that coach where they say, hey, we just lost this recruit. Now I need to fill this gap. And if you stay in contact and you do it right, you may be the one that gets to fill that gap.
Okay, great. Well, that concludes the 4-part series on each year of high school.
Yeah, John, everybody's recruiting experience is different, but these should be some of the basics that should guide you through your recruiting process.
And I assume families can get a hold of you at your email address if they have any questions or comments?
Yes, please. I'd love to hear from anybody that's listening. Just email me at Brent, BRENT, at recruit-me.com. And, share any questions or comments you have about this 4-part series.
Share this podcast with friends and family. Share it on your favorite podcast app or on the recruitme.com website. That concludes the series. Any teaser about what's coming up next week, Brent?
Well, I may have an interview with a very familiar college athlete, so I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Well, join us again next week for the Recruit Me Athletic Scholarship Podcast.